Jury selection not over yet in the trial for Atlanta rapper Young Thug and 13 other defendants. They are facing gang-related charges, and a number of other famous rappers could be called as witnesses. Young Thug has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges that he's facing, and it's been a pretty complicated process to get to this point. Jury selection is taking a little longer than they expected, might take until Monday.
Well, Atlanta News first, Don Shipman. He's covering this high-profile case that is expected to last months, and as you mentioned, jury selection likely to take weeks.
Yeah, buckle in. Inside the Fulton County Courthouse, some 200 jurors were briefed on the case today. In all, 600 potential jurors this week. Now, as part of this process, they have to watch a 4-hour video of the judge reading the 95-page indictment against all 14 co-defendants. Grammy Award-winning Atlanta rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, is facing criminal charges as part of the Young Slime Life street gang. Authorities say that they're responsible for murder, armed robberies, assault, and illegal drugs possession, all happening over a 7-year span beginning in 2015. Young Thug is pleading not guilty to all 8 counts against him. The DA's office is alleging Young Thug and Atlanta rapper Gunna were the leaders of YSL, but the defense is claiming YSL is just a music label and clothing brand. Lots of twists and turns thus far. Rapper Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, was released from jail back in December after pleading guilty to the criminal case against him. Other defendants in this case could also take a plea before the jury is even seated. Meanwhile, a number of well-known rappers could be called as witnesses during the trial, including hip-hop artist Lil Wayne. And beginning next week on Monday, attorneys begin the process of dismissing jurors. Remember, 600 potential jurors. The process could take weeks. Outside the Fulton County Courthouse in Atlanta, Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.